Okay, so here's your Friday video, and we're going to start it off like we would normally start a Friday. One of my family members heard that we were doing a bonus cartoon, and so they're like, "Ooh, I want to do one." So they gave me a single frame cartoon for my bonus project. All right, now moving on to what we were actually going to do today. So it snowed this morning. Yes, Noah, that actually is an acid snow. Acid snow is possible, just like you can have acid rain, we can have acid snow. And it just means that the pH of that precipitation is out of line of regular precipitation. And we often refer to this type of snowfall as an onion snow because it's happening in the spring of the year, late spring, when we're planting the onions. And because the temperatures are so cold, they will actually break the roots of the plant over the winter months. So this acid snow gives the plant a good shot of fertilizer so that they can establish themselves really well. But so these are the, domestic flowers. Yeah, we want to see more of the fun stuff. Just as an aside, this is purslane. This actually came over to the colonies on the Mayflower, and the Native Americans loved it because they would eat it. So, we see all the beautiful domestic flowers, the stuff in people's gardens. Well, that's all well and good, but go out, take a hike in the woods, and you'll see some other things that are starting to sprout and grow. But watch your step. So we're going to start with spring beauties. We get carpets of these flowers in the spring, and they're very, very short-lived. Watch your step though, because hiding amid all of these things are some awesome, really neat critters as well. You'll see tussin along the road bank, and it's referred to as colt's foot because the shape of the leaf kind of looks like the foot of a colt, but it's also known as tussin. It is the active ingredient that we find in Robitussin, and the Native Americans would drink it as a tea for cough and sore throat. I don't recommend that you start doing that yourself. And then we get some other ones like Hepatica. We're very lucky in this area that we have this beautiful spring flowers, and a lot of them are on the endangered protected species list, like the Hepatica or bloodroot. Now, bloodroot is fascinating because when you break the root, it gives you this really dark red material, and the natives would use that as a dye for clothing and even on their skin. And if you just wait a little bit longer, we'll start seeing the emergence of ferns. Now, this set that I have for you is the fiddlehead fern. And if you chop off the fiddleheads, you can eat them just like salad greens. Make sure you know exactly what it is that you are going out there and collecting. If you collect the wrong thing, it is toxic. And then we'll start to see this very overlooked plant called a bishop's cap. And it's lots of greenery and a very tiny stem of white snowflake-shaped flowers. And then as we start hunting and hunting, we'll start finding more things like the jack-in-the-pulpits. If you look in really close, you can see the beginning of several jacks in there. Now keep in mind, it's still a little early, but this is the stuff we can find as spring starts to move on. And then we get the violets. My favorite is the dogtooth violet, which is on the endangered protected species list. It's very rare to find it out in the woods in regions outside of Pennsylvania. This plant is disappearing. And then we have the misidentified. This is called squirrel corn. Notice that nice, beautiful bleeding heart shape on the top. It's a member of the bleeding heart family. So this is a wild bleeding heart. Notice the pink coloring. And its cousin is the Dutchman's breeches. So there's a difference in the shape of that flower, but they all come out about the exact same time. They're all very delicate. They're all very pretty. and they're all on the protected species list. And then one that gets completely overlooked because the flower blends in with the greenery. The flower only lasts a couple of days, and then you're left with these huge knee-high to waist-high plants. And then we've got the trillium. Tri because the leaves. So it's very common in our region to see the purple trillium, but the color is red. Yes, the color is red, but it's called a purple trillium. And we can get carpets of these if you're lucky. Now, they are on the endangered species list, so never pick any of these plants. But you'll see the purple trillium in open woody areas, and intermixed, if you're lucky, you can find the white trillium. There's a shift in the flower size. Purple trillium, have found them to be almost plate-sized. The white trilliums, I usually find them about 1.5 inches in the flowers. And then they're open on the edge of the field is the painted trillium. Painted because of that beautiful pink painting along the flower petals. And those plants are very narrow-leaved. And we actually have commercial versions of these plants. The great trillium, which are dinner plate sized, usually out of Michigan, but there are some here in our area, but it's more of an ornamental showy plant. This one does well in sun, where the other ones are more shaded. And if you're lucky and you go hunting, you might be able to find the lady's slipper. Beautiful plant. It's almost on the extinct list. So none of these get picked. If you find any of these plants out in the wild, you don't pick them. And we're going to end with one of my favorites. This is Alaska's state flower, the forget-me-not. So there's your Friday video. Think spring.